first glance, it looks like a photo of a handbag, but a closer look reveals the fine structure. In reality, the photograph is a paper cutout. Stefan Thiel produces his pieces snip by snip, using the traditional technique of paper cutouts. His works are designed to take viewers by surprise.
I work with optical illusions. Obviously, that's an integral part of it. I work with photography, which I then turn into a paper cutout.
In his Berlin studio, Thiel cuts away at the paper using a scalpel. The results are highly complex images.
I take care not to let the tiniest detail get too big. Otherwise, the work becomes too empty and loses intensity. What I mean is that the smallest detail, the smallest dot of light I cut out in a work like this, it all works together to add life to the picture.
Thiel photographs all his potential motifs and makes slides of them. His method is always the same. First, he projects the slide onto a piece of paper. Then he traces the outlines. Each work can take him between 2 hours and a month, depending on its size and amount of detail. When Thiel tells people he's a professional paper cutter, they're often perplexed.
For most people, that calls up memories of their childhood, when they learned how to make stars for window decorations in elementary school. But when they see my work, they realize that this technique is being used quite differently from what they're familiar with, not just as decoration, but as art.
The Berlin artist gets his inspiration from everything around him. At the moment, he is focusing on the theme of consumerism. He gets his ideas right off the street, especially Kurfürstendamm, one of the main shopping boulevards in the German capital.
These are my immediate surroundings. I look at what's around me. I've always done that. As a student, I often used my family and put my friends into the picture. Here, I'm using what I see when I go out the door. It all goes into my work, my authentic surroundings.
Once a month, he heads out with his camera through the city streets.
I choose motifs that correspond to my work, decorative objects, things with reflections. It usually depends on the surfaces of the objects. They're usually decorative mirroring surfaces, like we saw earlier in the piece with the handbag.
Thiel's works have been shown in galleries around the world, in Zurich, Los Angeles, and Sydney. He's been doing paper cutouts for 10 years. At first, he focused on landscapes. But no matter what the subject, what counts is his eye for detail and patience. In an earlier work, he spent years translating a French erotic novel into Braille. The result was 25 volumes of a non-visual medium. An art museum in Neubrandenburg is showing around 30 of his works. They all have one thing in common.
What I always do in my paper cuts, I cut open the surface of the picture. I destroy it and basically reach into the space behind it. That's why I find these camouflage nets so interesting, because they're essentially cut open walls.
Stefan Thiel's artistic approach has proved very successful. His paper cutouts cost up to 40,000 euros. And in May, a number of his works will go on show in Sydney.